fire tore through the 3-story, 15-unit building.
There were several people trapped.
There's a lot of anger over how this could happen.
7 people died in the blaze.
Many of them were staying in short-term Airbnb-style rental units, illegal in this part of the city.
The sad reality is that the kind of safety issues that were exposed with the fire here, these were also predictable issues. So there were kind of multiple failures of the rules that all led to this fire. It was a wake-up call.
It stands as a sober reminder since a fire ripped through it in March, killing 7. Now a symbol used by the Quebec government to crack down on illegal short-term rentals. Urban planner David Walksmith says it was due.
A lot of people who knew that the rules weren't being followed, that changes were necessary, still hadn't managed to kind of maybe prioritize the issue enough to get something done, and I think that started to change.
Since September, registering your rental is mandatory, and that registration number needs to be displayed in your ad. Platforms like Airbnb are also liable. They could face fines up to $100,000 per illegal unit.
It's pretty opaque, actually.
Michel Prue is skeptical of the rule changes. The housing advocate spends his days helping residents facing housing issues like eviction.
It seems like they put some stuff into place to show like they're doing something, but we're not sure how much they're actually doing something very effective to stop the short-term rental.
So this place, people came to you because they were getting evicted?
Yeah.
Prue believes enforcement will be difficult. Trying to determine if the rules are being followed isn't easy, like at the building he's taking us to.
Yeah, right here.
Okay.
You can see the key box right there.
How is that a sign that this could potentially be an Airbnb?
Usually when there's a key box, it's just that they're coming and going. The first apartment that got emptied, downstairs there was like 4 new appliances. Well, maybe it's because she wants to be nice to the new tenants afterwards, but then why a key box?
Short-term rentals over long-term housing. It's one of the contributing factors of the housing shortage, experts say, a crisis that's gripping other major cities in North America. New York City. We're here because a new law just came into effect limiting short-term rentals. It's being called the strictest in North America. If you want to rent a unit for 30 days or less, you have to follow some of these rules. First, you have to register with the city. You have to be physically present in the unit while it's being rented, and you can have a maximum of 2 guests at a time. The booking sites also have a responsibility to ensure that all their listings are legal. We're going to meet New York City Council member Carlina Rivera. She sponsored the bill that ultimately became law. Hi, Sarah.
Carlina.
Nice to meet you. You sponsored this bill 5 years ago. It's been a long road. Now it's law. Why was it important?
People who would come in with all sorts of housing inquiries and problems, and one of them was illegal hotels or illegal short-term rentals that were unsafe, that were contributing to the housing crisis.
New York has a severe housing crisis. Only 3% of apartments are vacant, and over half of the households can't afford housing. Behind the politicians and policymakers who turned this bill into law are community organizations and residents personally affected by short-term rentals, like the people who live in this building in Hell's Kitchen.
This is it. This is home for me. So we had this entire hallway collapse over here.
Chris LeBron has lived in this apartment since his childhood. About 5 years ago, an upstairs Airbnb flooded and caused a lot of damage. But that wasn't the biggest issue. You said it was hell, Airbnb hell. Why?
The residents of this building were put through the ringer. Half the apartments were used as illegal hotels for over half a decade. We didn't have a fire, but we had prostitution rings, we had a sex club, we had drug rings floating in and out.
So tell me how that kind of prompted you to move on to helping organize against these illegal hotels?
This is New York, and tenant harassment is real. So I had to go door to door to explain that I was going to be the one willing to sacrifice my person and my time, and I would do whatever I could to keep them safe. Excuse me.
Yeah, it's okay.
I gave up everything. I quit my full-time job, and I devoted myself to figuring out a solution. If I didn't have a home, if I didn't feel safe, what is my life really worth?
For many tenants like Chris, the new rules are a relief. But for some homeowners, it's a threat to a revenue stream they've relied on for years. What are you going to do now?
I mean, I moved to 30 days a few months ago and have had no bookings.
Gia Sharp and Marjane Moore Roberts both own homes in Brooklyn and are fearful of a long-term tenant agreement in a state with strong tenants' rights.
We're very, very fortunate to be able to own a home in New York City. That's my version of the American dream. But again, part of that decision and the privilege of doing that also came with the privilege of our autonomy.
You know, like everybody else, we're paying more for everything. We relied on that income to pay our mortgage and our expenses. Like, it's part of our budget, you know, so we're a little nervous.
As cities such as New York and Montreal search for solutions to their housing shortage, cracking down on short-term rentals may be just a part of the solution to a complex problem.